The truth of the matter is, getting your head right day in and day out is the biggest struggle we face. If we get our head right, it's easier to make our phone calls. It's easier to do our presentations. It's easier to practice our presentations for them to get better. And quite frankly, it's just easier to make more sales. So hopefully there is something here that can help you. Now we're going to start off with a simple question. Why is it so hard to get our head right? Why is it that we just can't jump out of bed, pick up the phone and start calling, get our yeses and go from there? And the reason is very simple. Our brains are screwed up. Simple as that. Our brains are screwed up and they have been for a very, very long time. When you think about early man and historical man, they were constantly on the lookout for lack and attack. They had to be always vigilant, watching out for when the water supply was drying up or when the food source was running out. And they had to take action immediately, or they had to be constantly aware about being attacked by other tribes or by wild animals and things like that. So their brains, and hence our brains, had to be wired to constantly look for lack and attack. And what did they do? They had to have really huge responses to that. It took big action to save yourself from lack and attack. When your water source ran out, sometimes they'd have to travel for hundreds of miles to find water. When they were under attack, they had to invent weapons. I mean, we had to invent fire in order to cook our food. I mean, how's that for a large response? Well, the thing about it is we don't live in that world anymore. We don't live in that world anymore, but our brain is still wired to look for attack and lack. And it reacts the exact same way. We feel fear and we look for fear because fear is the way we protect ourselves from lack and attack. And when this happens, we hide, we gather with those that share our friends, or we attack back. Those are our natural reactions that are deep rooted into our system. And in order for us to get our head right, we have to overcome those. We have to get past that, and it's not easy. So today we're going to talk about things you can do which make it easier for you to get your head right. The first secret I want to talk about is just stop being afraid. Fear drives most of our action, or in our case, most of the time, our inaction. We are afraid of what's going to happen when we step into a situation that we can't predict. And that is something that happens every day. When we pick up the phone and start to get our yeses, we don't know what's going to happen, and that scares us. So how do you stop being afraid? Well, the first thing you do is you try to do something every day that really scares you. When I gave this presentation at our watch party, I did it in bib overhauls and sandals. So I'm standing in front of a crowd of professionals in bib overhauls. Now, I know when you grow up in the country and when you grow up on a farm, you often are scared to death of being labeled by that background. So that was a fear that I grew up with. And now, doing that in front of a crowd forced me to address that fear. I mean, maybe for you, it's bungee jumping, skydiving. I mean, talking to a stranger, who knows what it is? But when you make a habit of doing things that really scare you, it puts our other fears into perspective. And suddenly that phone's just not so scary as it was before. The other thing you can do to stop being afraid is don't drink dirty water. Now, what do I mean by that? What do I mean by don't drink dirty water? If you basically were to drink that water, like in the picture you're seeing there, your body would reject it. There would be repercussions of drinking that dirty water and putting that into your system that you were going to pay for it. The same thing happens psychologically and mentally when we spend time watching and listening to media and social media. You got to understand something. News, I don't care whether you're a Fox News person, an MSNBC person, whether you like Facebook, whether you like Twitter, whether you're an Instagram person, all of these media are based on a business model that wants you to be afraid. These big media companies, they traffic on your fear and anger, because when you're afraid and when you're angry, it's easy for you to be controlled. And I'm not picking on one side or the other. It's all sides, because they need you to spend as much time absorbing their media as possible, because that affects their income. And the people, if you look at the anchors and the personalities who make the most money, they are the ones who are best able to scare you and make you mad. And that's just the business model for big media. And when you engage in it, you basically put yourself in a position where it's very, very hard to get your head right. And if you go across the company, not just our company, but any type of company, and look at the most successful people, you will find that they consume very little media, because they know that it will stop them from being able to get their head right and move their business forward. The second secret here is recognize and track your distractions. When you start to track anything, you improve it, because you subconsciously make changes to recognize it. So, I mean, maybe your distractions are you're working at home and there's always chores to be done and cleaning to be done. Maybe your distraction is PlayStation. Maybe you find yourself playing PlayStation. I'm just going to play one game and then I'll make my calls. Maybe it's social media. Maybe it's television. Maybe you're addicted to watching TV. Regardless of what your distraction is, tracking it and realizing how much of your time is being consumed by things that aren't moving your business forward will automatically cause you to cut back on those things. So, and it can be anything. Surfing the web, shows we're hooked in on gardening. It doesn't even have to be something that's unhealthy, but anything that is distracting you from doing what you need to do to make your business forward, tracking it is the first step towards minimizing it and helping you get your head right. So track it and go. If you have something that you really enjoy that is a distraction, turn it into a reward or a trigger. Before I can watch that cat video on YouTube, I've got to make 5 phone calls. And then make your 5 phone calls and watch cat video. Turn it into a reward. Use those distractions as a tool to get you doing the things you need to do to move your business forward. So always keep in mind, track those distractions and you'll find yourself minimizing them. Next up, manage your energy. If you do not have energy, you can't get your head right. It's as simple as that. When you're tired, when you're exhausted, when you're not healthy, when you're overweight, you're struggling, your energy levels are low. And when your energy levels are low, you cannot get your head right. So do this. I mean, these are things we know, but we don't realize how they affect our ability to be successful. Eat healthy, exercise, and get plenty of sleep. I mean, those are things we've been told since we were little kids, and we know they affect our physical abilities, but they also affect our brain as well and our ability to get your head right. Next up, secret number 4, choose education over entertainment. One of my favorite quotes of all time, and I have no idea who says that. I think it was Zig Ziglar. Poor people have big TVs and small libraries. Rich people have big libraries and small TVs. Think about your entertainment and how much time you spend on entertainment that doesn't help you become better. And think about how much time you spend on education. The ideal situation is a good balance of both. Try to make education equal entertainment. Now, there are tons of places to provide entertaining education. There's good books out there. Be glad to recommend some to you. There's magazines, Success, Entrepreneur, those magazines, online articles, summaries. There's documentaries you can watch. There's video series, sales classes, podcasts. There's all sorts of good, entertaining, educational entertainment. And one of the things we're going to be talking about here a little bit is sometimes it can be overwhelming and you don't know where to start when you want to start learning and you want to start engaging in educational material that'll help you become better at what you do. I've started a daily email that I send out to everybody with a recommended article of the day. And it's articles that I've read. I don't necessarily agree with all of them because the whole point is not to agree with them. The point is to be thinking in terms of education and getting in the habit of thinking, because that will help you get your head right day in and day out. And then finally, number 5, and this is the biggest one. I'm going to spend a lot of time on this. Because of what we experienced in early man, having to have big changes to overcome lack and attack, we've grown to believe that it takes big changes to have a huge impact. And it doesn't. In our world today, making very, very small changes to your habits can have a tremendous impact. And when I talk about this, I want to reference a book by Darren Hardy called The Compound Effect. I would recommend you read it. And it really goes into how small changes done consistently over time create radical change. And that's another thing we're going to come away with this today is I've got a worksheet. I've got 10 things here I'm going to bring up at the end. 10 very small changes you can make in your life, which I guarantee you will make it much easier to get your head right, and you will start to see immediate results with your business. In our world, to put that in perspective, if you set your goal to make 5 more phone calls per day, every business day, just 5 more calls than you're currently making, and you run that, that will result in 17 more sales a year than you're currently making. And when you figure up the average contract value, that's about $140,000 in sales more than you're selling currently, just by adding 5 calls every business day. And that puts in perspective what we are capable of by making very small changes. Now, I want to use an example here of first of all, before I get to that, I do want to mention that it's all about time. What happens is we make these changes and we do them for a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month, and we don't see a noticeable difference. Because you figure if those 5 extra phone calls result in 17 more sales a year, that's less than 1.5 a month. Well, an extra sale a month is probably not going to be that noticeable for most of us. So we think it's not having an impact. But 17 over a year has a huge impact. So we have to keep doing these things for time. And to do that, we have to overcome our desire for instant gratification. Now, to do this point, I want to introduce you to 3 people, James, Carl, and Alan. They're friends from college, all in their 30s, decent jobs, all married, and they all have roughly the same build, all about 200 pounds. Now, all of a sudden, Alan decides he's going to make a change where he is now going to stop going to getting a coffee every morning at Moon Dollar. We'll call it Moon Dollar because I don't want to have any kind of copyright infringements here. So he spends $4 every morning on a mocha white chocolate. And he makes the decision one day that he can make that mocha white chocolate at home for $1. And also, his home version has 125 less calories than the Moon Dollar version. So not only is he saving $3 a day, but he's consuming 125 less calories. James, on the other hand, does just the opposite. He was making his home brew, and he decides he's going to start going to Moon Dollar every day because he just doesn't want to deal with it anymore. And so he's consuming 125 more calories. And then Carl doesn't make any changes at all. Carl stays the same. Now, as we move forward over time, after 30 days, there is no difference whatsoever. Nobody notices any change. 90 days, still, nobody notices any change. After a year, outside, you still might not notice any change, but their wives are starting to notice a few differences now that they're not quite who they were before. And if you fast forward 3 years, James, the guy that added 125 calories a day to his diet, has now gained 38 pounds. He now weighs 238. Meanwhile, Carl still weighs what he weighed before because he's eating the same thing he was before. But Alan, who cut 125 calories out of his diet, remember 125 calories, that's like 4 Hershey's Kisses. We're talking a very, very small change. Alan now lost 38 pounds, and so he weighs 162 pounds. So in a course of 3 years, just that little change of habit has made it where one guy now weighs almost 80 pounds more than the other one. And now we get into the actual ripple effect that comes into play. The ripple effect is, let's say that Alan decided to not only cut the 125 out of his day, but he decided he was going to invest that $3 a day that he saved by not buying the coffee. At the end of those 3 years, he would have $3,700 in the bank because of that investment. Now, let's imagine also that Alan got in the habit of investing that $90 a month, that $3 a day he was saving on coffee, and just kept it up. I mean, he's now at a comfortable weight. He's comfortable with himself, but he just got in the habit of having that $90 automatically withdrawn from his account. When he gets ready to retire, he now will have $237,702 in his investments because he quit going to Moondollar for coffee. Just that simple change. And in addition to that, there's going to be additional ripple effects. Because he lost all of that weight, he's now more confident. He's more dapper. He's able to look better in his clothes. He has higher energy levels. He spends more quality time with his wife and kids. He's ready to take on additional challenges because of that extra confidence, and he just loves life. Now, let's look at the other side of that coin. James, who gained that weight, he's less confident. He's kind of more slovenly, just kind of loafs around. He has no energy. He comes home every night and sits in front of the TV because he just doesn't have any energy to do anything more than that. He doesn't spend time with his wife and kids, which causes all sorts of other problems in his marriage and family life. And he resents Alan for his success. Their friendship has grown apart because they're now in 2 different places in life. And remember, it's all because of a simple change in their morning coffee routine. And then we look at Carl. Carl's even sadder. Carl's exactly where he was before. Very little has changed in his life. He sees no hope for things changing in the future. He accepts his lot in life. He tries to make the most of it. He's very unhappy, but he's just not unhappy enough to make changes, and the bitterness sets in. And here's the problem we have. The world is full of Carls. The world is full of Carls. People who are unhappy, but just not unhappy enough to make changes. So I mean, that's the real point of all this. Now, once again, I come back. This means I just do this to emphasize very, very small changes done consistently over time cause radical results. Small change, consistency over time, radical results. Now I want to throw out 10 things. I want to throw out 10 small changes you can make in your life. They total up to about a total of 10 minutes a day. And if I could tell you that you could, if you change 10 minutes a day of your life, and it would result in enormous changes with your business, every single one of you would say, let's go for it. Let's do it. So let's talk about what the 10 changes that I recommend you do and form into habits that will change your life and make it so much easier day in and day out to get your head right, to make your calls, to do your presentations, to improve and to grow your business. Number one, get up when the alarm goes off. When the alarm goes off, get out of bed. Number one, because here's what happens. If you get out of bed when the alarm goes off, you start your day with a win. Now, I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of you, they do this anyway. And it's a big thing because you start your day with a win. When you set your alarm, you have every intention of getting up at that time because you know you got a lot to do. When it goes off and you don't get up, you start your day with a loss. And many of you probably play tricks with the alarm clock and try to trick yourself into getting up when you want to get up by setting the alarm clock earlier or changing the time or all kinds of things. And even that is admitting defeat. So you are reminded every morning of your failures. And when you start your day with a failure or a reminder of your failures, you automatically set the tone for the day. So for number one, get up when the alarm goes off. Number two, as soon as your feet hit the floor, say out loud, it's going to be an awesome day. Because you will find that automatically elevates your spirits. And starting your day with those positive reinforcements really sets the tone for everything to come. Number three, don't turn on the news or check social media for at least 30 minutes. Give your mind time to organize the day and to process what's going on around you before engaging in a world that is designed and profits from you being angry and afraid. So give your mind time for at least 30 minutes. Now, one of the best ways of accomplishing number one and number three is stop using your phone as an alarm clock. If you do that, if you use your phone as an alarm clock, it becomes nearly impossible not to check your social media when your alarm goes off because you already have your phone in your hand with the app on it. So get an alarm clock, and that will make it much easier for you to do number one and number three. Number four, do 5 quick squats or some kind of simple exercise. I'm not talking about an exercise program here. I'm literally talking about some movements real quickly to get your blood flowing. Something that's within your comfort. It can be an incline push-up. It can be a squat. It can be whatever. But some little activity for about 30 seconds, which just gets your blood to flowing. Number 5, drink a full glass of water with a multivitamin and a good probiotic. A full glass of water with a multivitamin and a good probiotic. Now, multivitamin, the water gets your system moving because we all get dehydrated while we sleep. We sweat in our sleep and we get dehydrated. And everything, including our brain, especially our brain, needs fluids moving through your system in order to function properly. So drink the water. The multivitamin keeps you healthier, makes sure your body gets what it needs from your food. But also, there's a lot of studies out there that show that people who consistently take multivitamins throughout their life are far less likely to get dementia and Alzheimer's when they become elderly. So it helps prepare your brain for the future. And the probiotic, we have about 5 pounds of bacteria in our gut. It's called our gut biome. And if we have healthy, good bacteria in there, they secrete or poop a chemical that our nervous system uses to function properly. So when our gut biome is healthy, that chemical is more abundant and we are more able to process and think, and it directly affects our ability to get our head right. So have a healthy biome by taking a good probiotic every day. Number 6, read one educational or uplifting article every morning in the morning. Just something to get your mind in an educational place and get you thinking about getting better and what you can do. Now, this is one area I mentioned earlier that I'm going to help with because there's just so much out there. How do you know what's good? How do you know what's not? How do you know where to start? How do I know what to read? Well, I'm kind of taking that off the table for you. And if you are interested in getting a daily recommended article, just send me an email. And I'll have my email here at the end of this presentation, where I basically pick out articles that I think will encourage you to think. Some of them will be about how to be more productive. Some of them will be just totally off the wall, but it will inspire mental activity and help you get your head right. Number 7, take a minute to visualize what you want your day to look like. Visualize the guy that you're meeting with for an 11 o'clock appointment. Picture him signing with his finger on that contract. Picture the objection that he's going to throw out there that you're going to handle beautifully to get him to make the sale. Picture yourself picking up the phone and making that call and getting that yes. Have you ever noticed when you watch a professional golf event, every golfer, when he gets up to hit the ball, stops just for a second and closes his eyes? What he is doing is he is picturing exactly what that shot is going to look like. He pictures the way his muscles are going to feel as he's making the swing. He pictures the arc of the ball. He pictures where it's going to land, where it's going to roll to. Because if he does it in his mind, it's easier for him to do it with his body. And the same thing goes with what we do. If you picture yourself handling that objection, it's going to be so much easier to handle that objection. So visualize what you want your day looking like. Number 8, write down one thing you are thankful for every morning. What is one thing you are thankful for, and reflect on what the world would be like without it. It can be your husband or wife. It can be your kids. It can be running water. It can be a shower. Whatever it is, and think about how important it is in your life and write it down. Now, I'm also going to be providing a worksheet that you can write these things down on. So keep that. And you can't repeat. You can't repeat. Every day it has to be something new you're thankful for. And one of the reasons we do this is because being thankful and living a life of gratitude is one of the easiest ways to get your head right. Because you stop thinking about the past and the mistakes you've made, and you stop thinking about the future and the worries you have, and instead you just think about the present and you focus on the good things. And when you start to do that, it becomes a habit, and that habit changes the way your brain functions. Then next up, number 9, when the sales report comes out, pick 3 names from it. Every day we all get a text that has the sales that took place the day before yesterday. Take a moment, pick 3 people from that list. They can be people you know or people you don't know, and send them a message thanking or congratulating them on their sale. And then, if you don't know them, just say, "Hey, this is Jim Smith over in Colorado, and I saw your name on the sales report and I saw your sale. Just wanted to congratulate you for your sale. Good job." And what'll happen is they'll reply back with a thank you. And now both of you have elevated your day just a little bit. And recognizing and celebrating the successes of others lead to successes of your own. because it changes the way your mind is processing what's happening in the world around you. So you get in the habit of doing that every day. Just pick 3 names and you will find a connectedness and an energy that you didn't expect to find from that. And number 10, which I can't see on this list, but number 10 is actually something you do at the end of the day. The slide didn't really come through on the presentation here, but number 10 is something you do at the end of the day. Before you go to bed, write down 3 things that you did right today. What are 3 things that you did right? What were your wins? I mean, they can be got out of bed when the alarm went off. They can be answered the phone when that client that screwed up his ad called, because we all know we like to hide from those. It can be those kind of things. And what happens is when you start recognizing your wins, you'll start doing things throughout the day just to make sure you've got things to write down. And before you know it, you're making better decisions. And the number of wins you have during the day just keeps going up and up and up. And the more right decisions and the more good decisions you make and the more wins you have, suddenly the more sales you have and your business is growing. So always write them down. And then the next morning when you get up, read those and remind yourself the good things you had the day before and the wins. And the more you focus on your wins, the better off you're going to be. There's a human psychology condition called the Zeigarnik effect. And it's basically our natural tendency to dwell on the things we don't do and our failures rather than the things we do and our wins. And it's interesting. It's interesting research. Basically, they did some studies where they had 100 items that people were supposed to complete, and they made it impossible for them to complete all 100. And they had people who completed 97 of the 100 tasks, and yet all they could think about were the 3 they didn't get done. And we do that every day. We do that every day. We focus on our failures and not our wins. And by writing those down of the night, reading them the next day, keeping a log of those wins, you will find your life starting to change and focusing on the positives, and you will find your happiness level increasing significantly. Now, all of that tallies up to about 10 minutes and 35 seconds a day that will help you get your head right and be more ready to be successful. And that is huge. 10 minutes and 35 seconds of habits that will help you. Now, in order to help you get there, I created 2 worksheets. One has all of those things listed over a 30-day period, and you simply just check the box when you complete it. Now, you're going to miss a few days. There's going to be a day when you're just exhausted or you can't think of 3 wins or something like that. That's okay. That's okay. Your goal is to complete all of them. And I will tell you, completing all 10 of them automatically creates a win for you. So that's available. If you wanted, you can email me and I'll send it to you. And then the other thing I created was a simple sheet for a 30-day window that has what are you thankful for and a place for your 3 wins. And the reason I put it in that format is I want you every day when you're writing down what you're thankful for, or you're writing down what your wins are, I want you to see visually all of the things that you've been thankful for on days before and all of the wins you've had, because just seeing those will quantify how much good there is in your life and get you thinking positively rather than focusing on just the negative. And when you do all of these things, you're going to find it so much easier to get your head right. And as we all know, when you get your head right, it gets so much easier to do everything else we need to do to be successful. If you want to get copies of those worksheets or get on my daily recommended educational article email, just send me an email to jpreston at bestversionmedia.com. That's Jay Preston at bestversionmedia.com. And I'll be glad to get you on that list and get you those articles. We want to continue to grow this company and our own businesses because, we have a unique opportunity to actually be able to control our own financial destiny and our own future just by getting our 3 S's. And if we can get our head right, all of that becomes so much easier. So please take advantage of this. Send me an email. And if you have any other questions or anything else we can help you with, just let me know and we'll go from there.